get up on your feet. What you need to do is catch up with them. Bounce, man, get up on your feet and help me get it.
An 11-year-old girl has been left orphaned after the untimely death of both her parents almost exactly 7 years apart. The grieving family of Gemma Jones, from Newarthill, Scotland, are now campaigning for better support for mental health services after Aaliyah was orphaned when her mother lost her battle with mental health in September last year. While her cause of death is still under investigation, Gemma, 29, was taking medication for borderline personality disorder, BPD, when she died on 17 September. It was almost 7 years to the day since Aaliyah's father, Lonie, who also had mental health issues, took his own life on 10 September 2010, aged 27. Gemma's sister, former football star Rhonda Jones, 38, said, "Sometimes Gemma would hear a voice in her head telling her to be with Gary. Gemma, a carer, died just months after being diagnosed with BPD, recognized by the NHS as the most common personality disorder. It groups the condition into 4 main areas: emotional instability, disturbed patterns of thinking or perception, compulsive behavior, and intense, but unstable relationships with others. Rhonda says her sister was told she had BPD when she saw a £250 an hour private psychiatrist in Glasgow in spring last year, after repeatedly being dismissed as suffering with the blues. But after struggling to find suitable treatment, Gemma rapidly deteriorated, culminating in her sudden and unexplained death 3 months ago. She was found dead in her living room by her father Newell, 66, who is now bringing up Aaliyah with the help of his wife Isabel, 64, in Newarthill. Now the grieving family are trying to piece together Gemma's mental anguish with the help of her diary, in which she wrote about her mental turmoil. Rhonda, a former women's Celtics and Rangers footballer turned firefighter, who discovered the journal, said of her sister, "She always loved Gary. He was always the boy for her." There were times where Gemma said she wanted to take her own life. "She spoke to me a lot and wanted people to know she was suffering." She'd also written in her diary that the voice in her head said she was useless and rubbish. It wasn't true, it was so sad to read. Rhonda recalls her sister's mood temporarily lifting when a private psychiatrist diagnosed her BPD, but she later deteriorated after struggling to find the right treatment. Surviving on a cocktail of prescription drugs, Gemma spoke to her sister at around midnight the day before she died. Rhonda recalls her sounding relatively happy as she shared her plans to go to the gym the next day. Sadly, the following morning, her father found her on the sofa at home and could not wake her. Paramedics attempted resuscitation, but she was declared dead.Now. Her family want to raise awareness around mental illness and warn that it can affect anyone. It affects 25% of the British population, said Gemma. Like cancer, it is a sickness. Nationally, there must be less stigma around it. Gemma was a loving mom, a wonderful sister and a kind daughter, but she was also mentally ill. She felt the highs very high and the lows very low. She would feel more of everything than most people. She experienced sadness very deeply and happiness very strongly. Her unstable emotions were despite being brought up in a loving, caring family without any massive traumas, according to Rhonda. Our childhood was so normal, she said. We went to a typical school and had a typical sisterly relationship, although we were very different. I was very sporty, whereas she was not. Whereas I got into football, she went to college to study social care. Despite the sisters' age difference, they were close, and their friendship continued when, as part of her international footballing career, Rhonda traveled to Florida. But disaster struck on September 10, 2010 when Gary, who Gemma had always loved deeply, died. Tragic loss, Aaliyah lost her father at the age of 4. He took his own life, leaving behind Gemma, their then 3-year-old daughter Aaliyah, and his parents Davy and Janie Lonie, who Rhonda and her family remain close to. Gemma was devastated, said Rhonda. She was so in love with him. She suffered from depression, although did not have an exact diagnosis. But was still a good father to Aaliyah and she adored him. I am speaking out so people realize that mental health issues can affect anyone. Gemma's family are now raising money for a mental health support, advice, and therapy hub based in the Newarthill Community Centre in her memory. Click here to donate. Rhonda said, people suffering from trauma, grief, loss and mental health difficulties will be supported through counseling, life coaching, financial advice, relaxation therapy and individual or group discussions. Gary's father Davy, 59, who works in the building trade, welcomed improved mental health services in the area. He said, mental health problems are rife around here. Sadly, too many people have taken their lives. Gemma always wanted to follow Gary's path. Gary's father speaks out. If speaking out helps anyone to stop doing what my son did, then I welcome it. Gemma always wanted to follow to Gary's path. I wouldn't want anyone to take their life. If we can stop it, we should. A Scottish Crown Office spokesman said, the Procurator Fiscal has received a report in connection with the death of a 29-year-old woman in Motherwell on September 17, 2017. The investigation into the death, under the direction of Scottish Fatalities Investigation Unit, SFU, is ongoing and the family are being kept updated in relation to any significant developments.